What's up, everybody? It's Finding My Way, week 6. It's technically like week 8. We missed a couple of weeks due to vacation or other stuff, life getting in the way.
Mm.
But we're back at it with Toad. He's gonna recap some trades. We're gonna jump in to see how's it going with reading structure and break a structure and using his system and his strategy. One of the things that I've been emphasizing the last couple of weeks is a structure break or uh, break of structure is the technical term, I guess. But one of the things that I've noticed in the last month or two is that when the 1 minute structure breaks, that's the first signal, right? Because I've always said, hey, wait for the structure break to be your signal. Now, you got to exercise patience because just because it broke on the 1 minute doesn't mean that the move is going to happen the way it should. It might be a little bit choppier. But once you see it line up with the 5 minute and you get the structure break of the 5 minute and the 1 minute together, then so I use the 1 minute as my signal to start looking, and then I use the 5 minute to confirm. Case in point here, we broke structure a long time ago over here because we kept breaking structure. We're in the sequence of higher highs, higher lows, higher high, higher lows. So you're in the sequence of going up, but we still needed to get to this structure and then finally this structure. As you can see right here on the 1 minute, we broke it, but over here on the 5 minute, we didn't break it. I noticed that when it breaks on the 1 minute, because we broke above it here, you can see the structure here. We break above it here, and then it goes into chop. Why? Because we didn't break it on the 5 minute, but we did test it. So that being said, the first test is usually a hard reject. That's what Brandon uses the first tag metric. Usually the first tag is usually a hard reject. Or would you would like to see a hard reject? And that's why another thing to emphasize is candle development at these levels of structure. On the 5 minute, it's usually two candles together, and I usually use overlapping bodies. So like right here. So I would use the red with the green, overlap it, wherever it overlaps. That's one zone, and then we have more zones, right? Because you got to trade what the chart gives you.
Right.
And then last zone is up here. Yeah, they're all overlapping, but you want to see how price action reacts. First level is right there, obviously, so we rejected it. You wanted to see a higher low, and we had this fibbed out. We wanted to see a higher low, potentially all the way down to the GP, but we could catch VWAP support here with the 50 SMA. We shied that, and we had the 100 EMA. So now, using the moving average system, we have the 200, which is right here. You can barely see it, right? So we rejected the structure here. We rejected the 200. That's what you want to see. You want to see a reject, right? But if you're a long player, you want to see a pullback to enter long, right? And then you're just going to take it in levels. You notice that every time we get to a level, we slow down or reject hard. So we rejected this first level, came back, tested it. We smashed through this level. So we could delete that one. Right? Now we're at this level and then break it down to 50%, 50% of the body. And once it gets above 50% of the body, whether it's up or down, then I'm looking from that zone to the wick, right? Once you get into the wick and then you break that down. So I'm breaking it down to real basic levels so you can understand if price action has strength to make it to the next level. So for instance, here we went to the 50% and look at how we smashed through it. We smash through it, come back down and test the body of it. Look at that. Bounce. Now you want to see speed. Now you want to see the 50% of this wick. If we get above 50%, we're probably going to squeeze up to the 666. Let's see if the 666 lines up with any structure.
And a note, because it's something I gotta remember, is just because you're calling a continued squeeze, up here is a bad entry. It's not
Yes,
an
to get
entry.
in. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not a good entry, but it's certainly not a short because we have no structure break.
exactly. You wouldn't want to enter short. You can counter scalp it for a first tag, but just know that it's a first tag scalp. A first tag scalp can be on ES anywhere between 2 to 6 points, right? On NQ, it could be 10 points scalp
Right.
because we're still in sequence. And that's the way that I kind of like to explain it. Once the sequence is broken, and now we're going in the uptrend, right? Because right here, we're, what the heck's going on? Shit's wigging up. Because right here, right, we got a lower low, but then we got a higher high because we broke this structure, right? We broke that structure, we got a higher high. So now we're looking for a higher low, which technically this is because the low was down here. So then
Hmm.
as long as it's still in sequence, now we got a higher high, right? Then we get a structure here. It's not really that great, as you can see right here. Well, actually, that's way down here, right here. See what I mean? You can see right here is choppy. I mean, right here. See how it's
Yeah.
choppy? And then we get the structure break on the 1 minute. We
Hmm.
broke the structure way over here. See, the 1 minute is telling you that weakness is coming, right? How is it telling me that? Because we created structure, right? We broke this structure, even though it's not that great. It's like a little swing low. See how it's like a little swing, like a little cup? We broke it here, and then we started a sequence. So we got lower low, lower high, lower low, still lower high, even though it came to it because it's a lower high from up here. And then we
Right.
got lower low, lower high. So it's telling me right here that weakness is coming. So what's the 5 minute look like? Okay, we still haven't broken structure, right? Because it's not right here. But then we create a real nice structure here, which is right here. See how it doesn't look like structure here? I mean, right here. It's only two candles, but on on the 1 minute, it's pretty nice swing low,
Hmm.
right? So then we finally break structure on the 1 minute, which is right here. You notice that right there? See, we break there and we break there, and then we are still in sequence, right? We're still in a lower low sequence, lower low, lower high sequence. So the 1 minute told me ahead of time, but we never got it. But look when we get the confirmation on the 5 minute, because we got it on the 1 minute way over here. And then we finally get the structure break on the 5 minute here. That's almost like 15 minutes, right? 8:44.
Hmm.
That's almost 30 minutes or no, almost freaking an hour, 45 minutes,
This one's tricky.
right? It's tricky because the 1 minute tricks you.
Yeah. I also think that 5 minute, I think it almost, I think a good trade you could, so you're saying those two green candles or the lower high and the structure break. So the one that you're on right there
Right
is
here.
that one. Once that gets, is that the structure break or is the next lower low the structure break?
This is the best structure break,
Yeah.
right?
Like
Because
the
this could be because it's right here. It's a cup right here, right?
yeah.
You see that? But it's all chop. So you can get scammed out right here. And if you were trading the 1 minute only, you would have got scammed out because you would have got scared of this structure break right here, right? Correct? You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So The 1 minute sometimes, and that's what I started to begin to notice is that the 1 minute was giving me misreadings or I was always getting faked out a lot. So I was like, okay, we broke structure here. So now I'm waiting for a higher low right here to go up, right? I wanted to go right here because we broke this structure right here.
Mm-hmm.
We're right here, right? And I wanted to go up like this, but it didn't hold right there. Okay, so every day I started identifying these levels. Like when I would only trade on the 1 minute, okay, I got in at the break of structure here, right? I got in here and it went against me. It's supposed to go up here because we broke this structure, so the next structure is right here and then way up here, right? So, but if I got in here, I would lock in 50% there and let one right to here. But it didn't. It went against me. I'd be like, what the fuck? So then I started looking at the 5 minute, and on the 5 minute, we are still in sequence, right? Because we got one, two, three.
I see that.
We got three, right? And the 1 minute, you would have got faked out if you would have entered long. And this is why one of the good reasons why I use the 5 minute as confirmation. And as long as this level right here didn't break above this level, I should be thinking short, right? And then look at I had that zoned out. That's my resistance. That's where I want to enter. And what did we talk about? There's two fibs you could have played here and caught these two legs.
Yeah, they look clear as day too.
And caught these two legs right here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? And if you fib out, like we said, if you fib the leg that broke structure, you would catch two plays.
Yep, clear as
So
day. That's two plays right there.
so if you fib from here to the first leg, boom, GP.
Mm-hmm.
Enter to the one almost to the 161. And even if it came back, you could have stayed in and got your 161 target, even your 261 target.
Mm-hmm. That next one too, that you said that structure break is better.
And
That
then
one,
you fucking do this one, and
yep,
then look, it lines up perfectly with the GP.
just gorgeous.
And it lines up with the structure. See how it lines up with the structure right here? See how it's resistance right here?
Mm-hmm.
Right at the 38%. So that you would fib it out. As soon as you broke structure and you get that pullback, fib it out. Fib it out, and then just look for things that line up together. There's a confluence. So we got the 100 EMA right there, and we got this structure break. I mean, the structure retest.
Right.
Right? Because look at all this structure. It broke through it, and then it became resistance. This whole thing right there became resistance. Look at boom, boom, and then look at perfect GP, 100 EMA, freaking that break of structure retest. That's the perfect entry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all you have to do is just be looking for structure and then just fib out the leg that broke structure. That's all you have to do. And then identify a moving average, whether you're using your EMAs or you're using simple moving averages or Bollinger Bands, whatever you're using. Look for the structure, fib it out, and then line it out, right? Because if you're using just a simple moving average, the 10 and the 50, your entry would be right here, right? But if you're only using EMAs, you would have a better entry up here.
Mm-hmm.
And either way, your stop should be up above this break of structure, whether it's a hard open close or a pierce through. And that's totally up to the comfortable level, your comfort level that you risk, that and depending on your account size.
Right. Pretty beautiful work on ES here too. And MES is so friendly to account sizes.
Yeah, definitely. It's so much slower than NQ. When I went from MES to MNQ, I was like, oh fuck, I got smoked. I wasn't ready for the speed. But I kept trading MES and kept studying NQ. Kept trading MES and studying NQ. And then slowly, okay, I'm getting used to it. I'm getting used to it.
Right.
And MES is super slow in the after hours. Lately, it's been pretty good action after hours. But um, yeah, just like I said, look at the structure break and use the 1 minute and 5 minute as confirmation. And more often than not, you will end up on the right side of the trade. Yeah, earlier we called this whole move right here, the pullback up.
Oh yeah.
And,
And that
and one of the questions that Mark had was because we were talking about it right here. He asked like, "Hey, if it pops up to the VWAP, would you take would you take a trade?" And I believe we are right here. And I told him, if we go up with this speed, I'll take it. I'll take the at the first tag VWAP right here.
we've
Uh, so I would have took it if it would have done it in the first two candles because
hmm
we have this structure here as resistance, and then we have the VWAP, 50 SMA, and the 100 as resistance as well. So that's a lot of confluence. But my caveat was, and I said it before it happened, was if we get a pullback and then go to the VWAP, that move would be stronger. And I would not take the VWAP tag. And look at what happened. Right. And then he was like, okay, well, how would you switch bias long? Okay, we just smashed through the 100, the VWAP, and the 50 SMA. We smashed through it, right? We had it broken structure here. So I told him, hey, our target here would be the overlap of these two candles first. That would be right here, this overlap right here. So basically like that. That would be my target, right? And I said, what I like to see is this hit this resistance, pull back to the 100, worst case, the 61%. And you're reading the chart as the bars are developing, right? So I told him I drew something like this, and I had said, hey, I want a higher high right here, and then a pullback to go up. And you're just looking at levels. Okay, it hit this level once, and it popped up pretty strong. Okay, it already tested that level once. Remember this level? We already tested it once. So then it tested it again. Okay, boom. What's price action telling me? That the bulls are coming in. Look at the MACD spreading apart, right? And look at the RSI. The RSI jumped above right here. And then we got that move, and then we got a pullback, and we're still in the top channel. That's
right.
strong. Those are all signals of strength. But knowing how to put it together in a sequence is the hard part, right? Because you get this move, and then you're like, oh shit. Okay, so the next part, if it can squeeze up all the way up to here, so I won't get in short if we get a pullback because it's showing strength, right? If it chops up to it, if you get a pullback into it, it's gonna probably blow through it. As opposed to like it comes in like this and then see how it bounce. And remember, first tag scalp. Scalps means a small play. 2 to 6 points on ES, whatever you're comfortable with. Maybe 8 to 12 points on NQ. It's a scalp. It's a first tag scalp. It's super fast, and it should be super fast. And if you're in a trade and if the first tag scalp is not fast, you might want to get out because it's going to keep squeezing against you or dumping against you, right? So yeah, use the confirmation of the 5 minute with the 1 minute. Because once it breaks structure, okay, you can look for a higher low, right? Once it breaks structure, you look for a higher low. So where are we here? Hold on one second. So right here, we're right here. So once that structure is broken back up, take the pullback. See right here, the pullback. You would have got it right here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Or another play that we like to play is break a structure, right? Because here's the structure. We broke it,
Yeah.
pull back to the 10 or a 10 SMA loop and take it to the next structure up. To either here
Yeah.
or here. I would lock some in here and then watch for the 50% of these 2 wicks. If it looks weak, look at how the 50% of those 2 wicks, look at how it creates a doji right here. See that?
Mm-hmm.
It's red doji. It's kind of hard to see. Let me remove all the drawings. See
Yeah,
this red doji?
I would take some profit right there on that doji.
And, and then it, boom, and then it goes into this overlap, and then there's a squeeze point. And it comes back, retests that to go up to see if there's anything else higher. Let's see. There was that one, right? And then before that, we said we lined up with this structure. See this structure right here? I had a line right there. And look at where we went to. Almost damn near to it.
Mm-hmm.
You have that moving average above, so that should be your magnet, but you get this, you might not get it no more. So then to look short, oops, right? You wouldn't get in short until we break structure back down. And structure would be way down here. And you can use this little overlap, but it might fake you out. But break this structure right here, then you look for a lower low, a lower high to go down. Boom. And then look for those big red candles. Was there a big red candle in that area? Let's check it out. Oh, there was. Look at that. And then more over here. So I would take the split level right there, and this is the 5 minute, and mark that off. And then we lines up with that big red body. Look at the rejection. It's telling you there's bears at that level. Dead near. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to look for these big red bars or big green bars to see if there's going to be a bounce when it comes back to that level. And if that level hasn't been there, see like right here, there is a big green candle and price action was not in this level. See how there's nothing there? Nothing here. So when it comes, and then even this big green bar. So when it comes back to this little overlap, you should see a big squeeze up, a
Mm-hmm.
nice pop
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Beautiful split lesson right there.
So enough for the structure. Hopefully that helps. With any questions, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm available. I'll answer any questions that you guys have on structure. And a lot of people use structure differently. Like I said, there's two technical terms of break a structure, which is pierce through or hard open close above the structure.
Right.
Um, so far, pierce through is working for me amazing. Um, the hard open close kind of shows that that there should be continuation once there's a hard open close above that structure, right? So I use the pierce through right here. It broke this structure. But if you were to use a hard open close like this one, because it opened and closed above this level, then it should be continuation and you get it. So technically both terms work, except the hard open close, you have to be a little bit more patient. And patience pays. Patience pays. I always spell patience with Pay. Because if you can wait for the 1 minute structure to signal, and that gives you, remember, we had 45 minutes of time to start looking for other signals, right? From here to here. We have 45 minutes or 30 minutes of time to be thinking of things that can stack up, right? The 1 minute doesn't tell you, but it's okay, lower lows, lower highs. And then on the 5 minute, you're already on the bottom channel. So you're looking for a bearish move to go down. But cool. Let's jump into it. See what recaps you have.
I would throw on my screen share. Nice wallpaper, bro.
Yeah,
Or
that's a dynamic wallpaper. Like
okay,
it
yeah.
might be Italy or Amsterdam or something.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in Europe.
All right. Yeah, I'll pull these up. All right. So, but first one here.
Are you
I got.
sharing your screen?
I am. You probably got to swap to um my screen or stop sharing yours.
There we go.
You see it now?
Yep.
All right, let's get it. So here's the I so this one here, start with why is this is like not actually going in order. Let me close this here. We got the is that 834, 841. Okay, I'll just open this one first. That's fine. Um, so here we got the 1 minute up here. We can just pretty much just look at these. Although on the hourly down here, I was actually looking for this to hold.
Hmm.
Uh, I fibbed out this a bit further over on the hourly. So this was on 522. I'll hop over to Trading View. We can look at the hourly, May 22nd. Um, I was looking for this essentially to do this again at this area
Uh-huh.
right here. Here's where we're looking at. I was looking for this to get another kind of pincer formation to come test this again. So just kind of looking for this big time frame low. Um, so there's that, and then oop, where's my screen? Is that- Whatever, I'll use this one. Looking for that to yeah make that low. And then but I wasn't actually there during it, like when this stuff started happening, because we came down to this low at like 7:30. I actually wasn't watching.
Hmm.
And then when I get on, I see that we actually cracked under the low again. And then you got the 1 minute up here, and this right here, this is starting with the good, the bad, the ugly. This I felt was probably my best trade all week for this week because I got the 1 minute structure break here, just barely.
Hmm.
Came back tested it. I didn't go for that one yet because, that was a total fresh low. I didn't want to rip that yet, but then we got another structure break, right? Came back down here. And then I got in right there. And I see that this is actually the 15 second. So I was using the 15 second at the time, but this would be a break of structure on the 1 minute as well.
Yep.
Anyway. So yeah, I got in here and like I said, so I was looking for that to reclaim all of this pretty much.
Hmm.
Ultimately, although just my targets here was up to like 100 points or something. Yeah, 115 points about.
See how right here on this one right here, see how there's this structure right here?
Where you at? Yeah,
See how it comes into play right here.
I do see how that comes into play.
So if you're getting in long right here at the GP, you want to be more cautious like I said, break that wick into a third, right? We get above it, you want to see speed. We've been talking about speed a lot at BRT. You want to see speed, right? But look at these candles. That's not speed. That's reject, 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 right? Speed is nice full body candles starting to go higher and higher into the wick. Then you
Right.
want to see more, the split level and into the body of this. And you want to see speed, right? And then you got your moving averages here. So that's another resistance you got to be looking out for, especially because they line up with the structure. And I'm not saying, hey, lock out your trade, but you might want to think about, hey, let me close 50% here and let it ride if you got a longer target up here. Say, all right, let me lock some in, or at least be a little bit more aware of the situation. Because once I start to see weakness, like candles like these is weakness, then you might want to think about profit stopping out.
Yeah.
But if
After
you're in short up here at the moving averages or at the structure, then you're good to go in short down here. But if we start breaking above these moving averages, you want to be careful for this to happen.
that makes sense.
And I'm
Yeah.
not telling you to switch up your trading style or anything. I'm just telling you, be aware of how these candles develop once it starts coming into this structure from previous where there's no price action, right? Because there was no price action here. This price action comes down and closes that imbalance, right? So now where can it go to? Right here, the resistance. And if it gets above that, then your next target is up here, your next structure up there, whatever that is.
Right.
So that's just two little things that you can start seeing to develop, and you'll be like, okay, this it's either gonna squeeze up fast, or I'm gonna profit stop and reset because this might go against me.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a psychology thing I could work on because once you're in the trade, you get that bit of I don't know, that psychology thing where you're like, I'm already in it. I don't want to leave it, you know?
That too, and that's where you gotta that just comes with experience and being burned a bunch of times.
Right.
And that's why taking a screenshot of multiple charts or whatever at the end of the day, and this is something that I picked up from Al Brooks, is when you go to journal, right? Like let's say you journal right after you trade or at the end of the day, whatever it is. At the end of the day, you should still review your trades, right? And that's what I started doing. I just started marking off, okay, here's structure here. So let me see, and that would take like the average of these wicks. Let me see why it rejected. And then I look back, okay, it hit this wick, this structure, the wick from this structure. And then I would see a big red bar or a big green bar and be like, okay, so in combination with the structure, there was this big red bar that signaled or identified that there's a lot of bears in this area. And then slowly, if you start to do that, review your chart that way, where you mark off your structures or support and demand zones, whatever, however you trade, and you look back, you'll start to see a pattern. Okay, every time it gets to structure, it's going to reject, or every time it smashed through that structure, okay, what did I see in the chart that I could have saw that I could see next time? Um, so like that, when candles are developing near that level, I already know what to look for. Instead
Right.
of being like, oh, okay, it's gonna go to the structure, but what do I look for? And you're trying to find a pot of gold, you're never gonna find it. But if you start seeing the candles get smaller into that structure, because even if it goes all the way up to here, you should be like, okay, these wicks should be bigger on the top, or we should start getting more red candles and then go down. right? And that's just depending on what bias you are. If you're long and you're getting in long and that's your long play from the GP to the moving average, great. You might get it.
Right.
But what do you need to look for if it starts to turn against you? And another topic that came up this week was okay, the three-quarter rule, right? Or the 50-50 rule, whatever it is. So if you enter with two contracts right here at the GP, locks them in right here at the 100 or wherever it hits the first resistance. Remember, you got to train yourself to catch the small wave before you can catch the bigger waves. And the way that I taught myself how to catch the bigger plays is using that three-quarter rule where I would lock in. When I started with two contracts, well, I started with one, but once I got up to two, I would, when I started with one, I would only go 2 to 4 points, 2 to 4 points, just to learn how to get in the trade, right? Not to be gun shy or scared to get in the trade and being able to identify when to get in the trade, right? Just like a surfer. You need to identify what wave you need to get on, right? Because some waves just like it's just a swell, right? It doesn't even crest or anything,
Right. It's a good
right?
way.
And then slowly you're like, okay, you're looking behind you, you're looking behind you. It's just like trading. You're looking left, right, to previous waves. You're looking at these previous waves to identify a big candle or whatever to see if you can ride the bigger wave.
Right.
But at first, you need to learn how to get up on the board because if you go ride a big wave, you're gonna get wiped out. And what happens? You get in a trade right here to go long because it's your strategy, right? You get into the GP and then you get on a good wave. You're like, oh shit, I'm up $500, and then wiped out. And you're like, what the fuck? I wanted it to go up to here. What happened? Okay, there's resistance there. Okay, next time I'm gonna lock in one right there as soon as it hits resistance and let one
Hmm.
ride.
Right.
And that's all it is learning how to ride that wave.
Yeah, that I mean, yeah, and, I'm getting better at that. In my head, that's exactly what I want. Is because ideally, let's see, can I annotate on my own screen?
Yep.
Yeah, ideally, right? It's like let's say, you know, I right, let's say I was in like around here, and whatever. Then I immediately take one, at this, right? So I just barely get the high, or maybe I take it underneath, and I take one like here. And then it's like it starts, really this was just a swell that ultimately came down
Yep.
and would have crashed the whole thing out. But instead, if you take one here and then you see that it is starting to wave up, then you have the chance to add,
Yep.
keep your original runners, add back, once it's up here, add back a little bit and start riding the wave bigger. Um, so that stuff, I don't know. Definitely getting better at all that.
Well,
Um,
that just depends on your trading style, right? Because some people enter full position, and if it's against them, it's against them, right? Some people average in, some people average up. What's average up? That's entering the trade when you're already on the wave, right? Like you said, uh, you would add more here for it to go up or whatever. If you enter down here, you're like, okay, it looks strong. Let me add more here. Or let me lock some in, come back. Okay, it's holding that level. It's gonna squeeze one more time. Let me get back in or add more. And it's all dependent on what you can tolerate, um, and what style of player you are. And I flip flopped, right? I've averaged in. Um, I've went in full position, and you're gonna start to learn what style you like. Like
right,
if you're patient enough to wait for your level to hit, then probably full possession is maybe your strategy, right? But if you're a little bit impatient and you're using the GP strategy, maybe put one at 61 or maybe at the 50 and at the 38. right? Those are your levels, those are your add points.
Right.
But when I do that style, I want that GP, like let's say that it was fib from here up here, I would want that GP to line up with structure, right? And the one that hits the body, that's my on sale, and then the 50% of the wick, that's my average price that I like to get in. So I
Right.
get in there, and if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't hit my level, don't get rushed in. Because let's say it doesn't hit your level, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get in right here, and then next thing you know, it does this.
Right.
Boom. Identify your levels, mark them off with structure, and you're gonna be way more successful. Whatever levels you use, like I know you use different EMAs, or you use nothing but EMAs, but look how your EMAs stack up with structure.
Yeah, it's like I like these for trend, but ultimately, structure is really like the king. Um, so it's like I'm using these for trend, but I kind of do see these EMAs as like training wheels that keep me alongside on the right trend.
Yep.
So,
Cool. That's just something to think about and have in the back of your head when you're in a trade. And I've been in trades where I was like up 200, $250, and I would close out like 70, $40 green. But I was thankful that I did, or else I would have stopped out.
right. Yeah, then ultimately, what is this actually the same as this one pretty much? Oh no, this right here. So, um yeah, then here's that same thing on the 1 minute, that entry. You can see I actually gave not a whole lot of Q before the structure break, but you could call this that tiny structure break. Came up here, gave the full structure break, retested that candle, got in here, started getting some outs along the way. And then ultimately, I mean, this trade was actually the entry was fantastic, and then the trade was beautiful too. It pretty much ran. He was like the hourly. Um, dip down here. We can zoom in on this structure a bit. Oh, but I don't have executions on that. But ultimately, before I move to the next one, here's that whole trade. It was, I mean, start with the good, the bad, the ugly. This one was great. Pretty much V'd out all the way to the top. So,
How are you catching these bottoms?
so this was that hourly chart. So I'll go to let's preview, go to my trading view. This was just looking for the hourly chart, right? Because so then I got in. Well, actually, I can see my entries were right about 2165 or something. So I got in around like here. Um, and I was just thinking that this was gonna happen here,
Oh, okay.
and then it didn't. We dropped down to a lower low, and then I decided, we that could have just been a fresh low squeeze on the hourly.
Yep.
So that was but I mean it's not like you say catching these bottoms, I don't want to, get too overconfident because this isn't, this is just one recap.
No,
Um
no, no. That gives good insight because I never use the hourly. I'm just using the one in the five, possibly the 15-minute here and there. I know Connor and Brandon use the 30 minutes sometimes. Yeah, as long as you have confluence with structure breaks, even if you're using like the 1 minute, right? But you need a confluence. What's your confluence? The 15 or the 30 second. But
yeah,
those scalps are super quick. Obviously,
right.
'cause you're using the faster time frames, but the 1 minute
Yeah, actually,
and the 1 minute combined with the 5 minute is probably my most consistent combination.
yeah, I'm thinking so. I was using the 15 second for a while like a crackhead, and then I decided that was too fast and I'm going to move down to the one. But yeah, I do like the Oh no, I didn't. I meant see that all gone. And and then so I'm using the 1, the 5, the 15, and the 1 hour in kind of like this bit of a fractal. So I took off the MACD just because I ran out of indicator space. But that's why I look at the 60. I don't particularly love the hourly like more than anything else, you know?
Mhm.
But because it fits right into the 1, 5, 15, 60, and then the 60, the 1 hour turns into the 4 hour and then the daily. So there's like the six, and then the weekly caps it off at the seven. So there's like the seven time frames that I look at basically.
Cool.
Um, yeah, my primary, I've got these are all based on EMAs. It's all EMA stuff pretty much. Gonna go back to here, move on to the second one. Is that 23, 34, 15? So it did it again. Yeah, and then at the top, here's something. Why is this not going down? Whatever. Start with this one because that's the first. Here's the where that first trade ended, and then I was like, I'm gonna double dip into the short. So although now I try really hard to not take shorts, um, because I think shorts and longs are different. I don't think they're just the opposite of each other. And I think that if I'm only focusing on one, it'll make it easier to see. And after I did 2 weeks of recording, I was like, first of all, I'm taking a bunch of longs naturally. And on top of that, the shorts I'm taking are losing sometimes, like more often, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll just try to stick to the longs here. But this one, we broke this 1 minute here and we had a straight pump all the way up. So I was like, I'm sure we can maybe get a back test to the 100, on the 1 minute, the
Mhm.
100 and the 50. We could probably get that. We're about to get the 50 100 cross, probably maybe a back test before that. So I got into this small short here and then make sure I grab the right one. Yeah, and then ultimately actually so I've got $1,000 auto liquidation on my account. Um because my goal, really my financial goal is like 300 to 400. Like if I make three if I somehow if I'm not confident on the day and I made 300 to 400, I should just stop, right?
Yep.
And 500 is the goal, but I'm willing to hold a runner if it blasts past 500, you know what I mean? Like take most of it, put the profit stop so I don't lose, so I don't get under 500, and then see if it can keep running, which is what happened.
You would put your profit stop at 500.
Just relatively, so I'm getting in about, I've scaled up to about 10 micros if I'm taking a small stop, five if I'm taking a big stop,
Yep.
three if I'm taking a big stop, actually, five for a
And
medium
you're
stop.
locking in what, 7 at your first target?
I'm locking in here. This I spread them out a bit more, but I'm locking now. Locking about five, or I want to lock in at least half by about 15 to 20, at least half. So honestly, I'm looking to lock in like five around 10 if I'm taking a small stop, something like that.
Mhm.
Why? What do you think?
No, that's cool. As long as you're not letting them go against you. Because I'm toying with the strategy of either putting my, because usually as soon as I hit my first target, I'm moving my profit stop up to break even. If it goes way past, let's say it's coming up close to my second target, I'm definitely moving my break even to my first target.
Yes. Yes, that's about what I'm messing with sizing. So I'll take 10 by a small stop. I mean like 8 points, 10 points.
Yeah.
Like on the 1 minute chart. Like for example, this entry down here, this was actually an 8 point stop entry because I saw we were going higher, low, higher, low, higher, low. I got in here. I wasn't gonna risk more than this candle. So this was actually an 8 point entry. And on those, as soon as I get 10, I'm break even. And then I leave it for 15. And then as soon as I get the 20, 25, I'm moving it to 10. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of doing what you're saying there. Once I get up to the T2, I'm locking T1. Once I get up to T3, I'm locking T2. T4, I'm locking T3. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, that's how you guarantee a green. You know, it's not gonna go against you. You might get some slippage, but rarely. And you're locking in that green is what you want to shoot for. You don't want to go up close to your target or only have one target and it gets near your target and it totally reverses against you and then you're screwed.
Yeah, I think that's just ridiculous.
Lock some profit in. Don't get greedy.
Yeah.
And even at your level, let's say you have a defined level. Like earlier, I think earlier this morning or earlier yesterday, I had three targets, which was pretty much the structure of the body. Like I had one, let's just take this for example. So at the bottom of the structure, and then at the 50%, and then at the 50% of the wick. These two orders got filled. This one didn't. As soon as that one didn't get filled, I canceled that. And then I just moved up a profit stop. And if it hit my target, then I would buy the bid or I mean, sell the ask once it got to my target. And if I got filled, I got filled. If not, then oh well. I would, adjust. But definitely being able to identify that it might not make it to your second or third target is a good skill to develop. Uh, because I like Brandon, he's always getting out, a point or two shy of his target just to make sure. That's what pretty much guarantees is get green, getting out shy of your target. And if it keeps going, he lets it go. Let it go. Once you let it go, you're not gonna get greedy and you're not gonna give money back. And you're gonna take that confidence into the next day. But just like we were talking earlier, you don't want that confidence to turn into euphoria that then turns into that blinds you, or you force a trade or a trade that you shouldn't be in, and then you get in a trade, um, and you give money back, and then you get blinded, and then you get mad, and then you start getting revenge trading, and then you're stuck in this cycle.
Right.
You want to be able to just, all right, hit your daily goal or your targets, your first two or three trades, and then call it. That's your
Right.
ultimate goal. And if you get one and done, awesome. Move on with your day. Don't continue trading or else you're gonna get screwed and then you're it's gonna end bad.
Yeah.
Because even me, I would go a week or two green and then one big fat red. That would probably take half of my 2 weeks green. And it's like fuck. Never ending cycle. I would do that over and over and over. And then slowly I would be like, okay, I'm just gonna call it. I'm just gonna call it and walk away. And then I just felt
Well,
like this pressure off my shoulders, and then my day would go good. And then the next day, same thing. Okay, cool. And I just start, okay, 30 days green. All right, 40 days green. My streak started getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
yeah.
But yeah,
No,
cool.
I mean that's seriously stuff to really accept. I've actually got a sim account that I've been running for basically since I got the floor, so like 2, 3 months now. And that's like the experience on the sim is just like 100, 200, 300, 400, whatever it is, as soon as the trade, as soon as I get close a trade and the day is green, I just move on. And I think that account is up like 4.5 grand.
Yeah,
And I'm like, when am I just gonna accept it and do that on my lives?
yep. And that's the hard part. You know,
Yeah,
the hard part is just letting it go because the emotional attachment that you have to that money creates chaos. And if you just let go of that emotion, you're gonna be in a lot better place.
Right.
You don't want to be chasing the green, chasing the greed, because greed, greed is one of the seven deadly sins, and I think there should be should create like the sins of trading, right? Greed is obviously like the top one. Is one of the biggest sins in trading is being greedy,
Yeah.
trying to get that extra $5, $20, or
Yeah, right.
you're
Or
going like,
five
oh
bucks.
man, just let it go, bro. Once you let that shit go, it's a trading universe teaching you not to be greedy.
Yeah, I mean it's literally like the pride and greed turns into wrath.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. You got another trick?
Yeah. So this one is actually pretty cool. Like I said, auto liquidated me out at a grand. This is a great day. Went a little further. Ultimately would have came up to hit my break even before flushing down.
Mhm.
And then let's see if it actually can organize these in the right way. 907, nope, it can't. So I got into I think kind of a late long here. So, that day was the good. Now we'll go with the maybe bad that ended good. Um, it was bad, I think, but it ended well. I got the 1050 cross here, 50 being this golden one. I stole your colors. Um, 10 is the blue. You got the green, right? So you got the 1050. Um, but I think it's bad because I mean, I don't know. I guess technically you got the structure break on the five right here. I got you got structure break on the five over. Let me annotate my own screen. I got structure break on the five here, right?
And what are you calling structure?
I would say this or this.
Like I said, be careful with those just because they're not. I call those speed bumps,
Speed bumps. So
especially
then,
that middle one. That middle one, look at how it chopped up in that area right there.
yeah, this one's just okay, but I think this one is the main one I would
Yep.
consider.
And then that should have been your support.
But would you consider this a good structure break or still mediocre or like better than this one, but still mediocre?
Mediocre, but this one's better right here because, but you can use it to your advantage, right? Because it broke this one and then it broke that one. So the next target is this one.
Right.
And look,
Right.
so you got the higher high, and as long as it's still in sequence. Like if this would have been if this would have broke this structure, then it would have looked weak, and then you could have got that.
Right. So this one is the real structure.
But you can tell that it's hunting it down, right? Because we got a break right there,
Mm-hmm.
and then we test it. Not only that, but you broke this. If you can get that combination where it breaks structure and comes back and it acts support,
Mm.
but the structure is broken along with it, this is way stronger that it's gonna go up here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But let's say that this would have done a lower, like right at it, and then it came
Mm.
down, then it might be weaker. Then it
Yeah.
breaking structure and coming back, retest it, and then go up.
Okay.
But like
Yeah.
right now on live, it did that, right? It went up to it and then it stayed close to it, and then it stayed close to it, and then it squeezed because it tested that structure two or three times before it squeezed through it.
Right. Would you would you call this maybe a B this one a B structure, this a C, and this an A?
Yeah, but look at how long you gotta wait because once you break that, then you got higher highs, higher lows, right? So it might come all the way to that and then dump, right?
Yeah.
That's one scenario. But if you see strength, like RSI, it's on the top side, right? MACD is on the top side, as long as it's on the top side. But if MACD was on the bottom side down here, like creating lower lows like this, then this might come down, right? But if it's on the top side and it's doing this, then it's probably going to go up to where? Up here. But when you, like I said earlier, you want to see this break. So you want to see it go like this, break
Yeah.
that structure, come back, test it, and then go up.
Yeah, so ultimately this was a not a great entry. I should have been waiting for it to break this like you're saying. And
Let's
then
put it this way, like if it doesn't break this, you're probably going to catch a small move. Whether it versus if it breaks this, then you might get a pullback for a bigger move.
right, it's just like ult yeah, so ultimately I need to be taking profit very soon, which I was. So it's like my setup is okay. It like this was another 8 point stop trade. The reason I was taking all these 8 point stops is because this was actually on my vacation week. So like I'm not going to take a big loss or get into these long trades while at any moment, my girlfriend could come out from the room and finally wake up from her 12 o'clock wake up time, you know. She's I could today, man, I got 3 hours of sleep and my body still woke me up at 6 a.m. I just can't help it. She sleeps until 11:30.
Yeah, my wife used to be that way until we had kids, and then she was, she gets,
Yeah.
she's like, just let me sleep on Saturdays, on weekends. Please just let me sleep until 8. All right, cool. We'll make that work. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, she used to sleep until noon, 11. I was like, damn, how do you do that shit?
I don't know how they do that either. It's crazy. I remember we were out kind of late and doing a lot of active stuff, and I was like, I'm just gonna let her sleep and sleep until. And she woke up because she thought she heard the garage door open, so she thought I was leaving. That's the only reason she got out of bed. That's the only reason, and it was 11:30.
Yeah.
I was like, "How do you do that?" And she was like, "Can we go to the aquarium?" And I'm like, "We wouldn't get there till 2, and they close at 5." Like the world is yours if you wake up early. But anyway, the reason I like this one is we popped above the 50 and you could call this, I'm not really a pattern trader, but you could call that a cup and handle. Um we popped above the 50, we got the 1050 cross. Um and then we back tested the 50
Yep.
and we got this strong pump, we got this nasty doji here. And then we got a bear hammer that tried to get under. And I was watching this and I was like, we popped under and then we snapped back up. And I was like, all right, I'll just go long off of that kind of 50 bounce. So it's like for a small move, I think it was all right, but ultimately when I'm looking at this in recap, I don't know. I mean, I guess, but like you were saying, if this high decides to reject, I'm only getting one or two targets and it's going down here.
Yep.
So,
But you did have an inverted head and shoulders right here. Oh,
oh, right here.
now we're target here.
How do you draw that? So you got a mouse?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
But that's just practice, screen time, being able to see that. But yeah, as soon as it breaks above the 50 and then retests it, you need to take it long for sure.
Yeah. So a decent little move. But
Oh, that R side was above the 50.
yeah. Yeah, I'm watching.
MACD was spreading, and there was no seller weight. Well, on the way down right here, there wasn't really um, strength. continuing because look at the candles how they started to get smaller and smaller, and then they
Yeah,
got pinched and they got squeezed up.
right. Right. Yeah, I'm watching the RSI all the time now because of how strong that 50 line is.
Yeah, yeah. If you break down the chart into 50% of everything, it's crazy how price action reacts to those 50% of the body, 50% of the wicks. It's pretty good.
That number of change.
Yep.
Um,
Chaos
close.
and change is number five, so 50.
Hmm. Ultimately, that is also what happened here. I took two there, and then I kind of recognized that I wasn't in the best spot. So I actually took a bunch. I was in that 10 for 8 points. I was like, out, 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 out. So what? I was out a bunch. I came in, I added a small amount here, like one or two back. Um, because I was looking to kind of squeeze as much of this out as possible. I thought it could, go for another finish off this wave, ultimately close this all out. And
Yeah, check
then
it out. Right there, we go back to the other one. See how it hit that structure that I told you to target?
mhm, over here.
No, right here.
Oh, this one, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it did. It hit it perfectly.
Well, not only that, but look at how and this is something that you guys need to see too, is price action slowing down when it's coming to your target. If you're like seeing speed, look at big candles speed right here. See
Mhm.
speed, and then all of a sudden, oh, a lot of little small candles. It's losing its what? Its speed. And then look at the look at the candles going down, right? Compared to these ones going up. So then you got to ask yourself, okay, where can it bounce? Okay, first area right here, because we have two humps right there, two structures. That's your first bounce. Second bounce, way down here. And you're just taking it, right? If you entered short here, you're looking at this level for a potential uh, to create a lower high down, right? If we break that good, it might come down here and then create a lower high down here. And you're just walking yourself through each structure. Be like, okay, what are the two potential scenarios at this structure? Okay, we can break it and go down here and create a lower high because we're testing that level again. Look at that, 3 times, right? Or we can catch that level, create a higher low, and do this, right? Or we can do this, and then decide.
Mhm.
Me, if it does these two right here, one or two, that's weak. But if it bounces nice off of this level right here, then it might do this. Higher probability. So then if it gets to this level, okay, what can happen? If it loses that level, where's my next target? Maybe right here or right here. And then again, what are the scenarios? It can bounce there, do this, right? Or lose that, or bounce and do this,
Mhm.
or lose it and then do that to get this one. Yeah, always having those scenarios around those structures. What are the scenarios? And then if you start looking at the longer time frames and they match up, then that's telling you what to do.
That makes sense. That's part of why I watch these higher time frames. I want to be cat because they all work kind of similarly. Not totally similarly. Like the five is just like the best.
But read them the same because right, the 5 minute is gonna give you a longer play to catch on the 1 minute, and the 15 minute is gonna give you a longer play to catch on the 5 minute.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's really, although, ever since I started trading, I jumped too many steps. I was trying to catch the big waves right when I got out into the ocean.
Yep.
Um, and that resulted in probably a couple broken limbs.
Yeah.
Um,
Blown accounts.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, but now I think dialing back and looking at the 1 minute's helping a lot because it's like really being able to recognize like, oh, am I on this wave too late? Or am I, I'm not going to stretch this analogy too far. Um, but yeah, I mean, looking from the 1 to the 5 to the 15.
Yeah,
You know,
because sometimes the pullback is on the 1 minute, right? But on the 5 minute, it's just a giant wick. And you're like, damn, I missed the play. Know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I do.
And then I started seeing, okay, so it looks like the 5 minute is strong, the MACD, the RSI. Okay, now let me jump on the 1 minute so I can look for a pullback.
Hmm.
And then you get the pullback. Okay, perfect. Even though it's the next candle over, the 5 minutes telling me that it's strong. I'm getting in at this level at the first tag of the VWAP, first tag of the 50, whatever it is on the 1 minute, because the 5 minutes confirming my thesis that a bigger play is gonna come.
Makes sense.
But yeah, when you're reading Brandon's charts or Brandon's analysis on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, look for that trend around the level that he's saying. Look for the trend. Higher lows, lower highs. Okay, I got that. Now, the second confirmation or the third would be the broken structure. If you get the broken structure and then you get the pullback confirmation and then RSI and then MACD, you just got 4 or 5 confirmations right there. And if you got the GP, 6 confirmations. Fucking take the trade. Take the trade, get in, start looking for candle development, start looking for structure where there
Hmm.
could be potential resistance. That's pretty much how
Makes
I
sense.
get saved a lot is looking at that structure.
Makes sense. And
Maybe
then,
I'm taking a little bit overboard, but that's just the way that I'm seeing the chart. Might see it a little different than Brandon, but most of the time I'm either in line or a little bit ahead of him getting in a trade, or sometimes I'm a little late, but it comes back straight to that level and I'm getting in still.
hmm I mean, it's just so good, it's just so, I import stuff. If I look at this line, like, all right, so if I draw this, it's like, that's right where it rejected, you know? Then if I draw this low, that's right where it starts slowing down. I got a big, made a big old, yeah, like right there, you know? So it's like, yeah, it might be a lot, but it just comes out to a lot of lines. But then it's like, don't get lazy. It's like draw the lines, look at them.
Well, what I use the lines for, I use a horizontal line, especially because you have a small chart right here, right?
Hmm.
So I'll draw one of these horizontal lines on the 1 minute, and then I'll jump on the 5 or the 15 minute to see the price action because history repeats itself, or at least history will tell you, okay, there's a big green candle, big red candle. Okay, there should be bears here. Okay, then you see it on the 1 minute coming up to that big ass candle, and then you're like, oh, I didn't see the reaction I thought we were getting. Okay, so that means strength, right? Because if it's a big red candle over here somewhere, and then it's coming up to that level, and you don't see that hard rejection like this, then what are you going to think? That it's going to continue going, then pull back, and then fill up that candle and keep going up because that big red candle should have been bears or whatever the case is, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I use those lines so I can easily identify it better. And once I get that identified, I'll be like, okay, this is what I want to see. And if I don't see it, then it might be weak or strong, right? Like right here with these candles that you see here, small green, small green. I don't expect the big bounce in this area. I don't know if it happened or not, but I don't know if you have a screenshot, but that would be my suspect. It's
Do
either,
have the next and final one here.
and look, it bounced up and then it rejected.
Hmm. Rejected hard. I mean, we didn't even really get a structure break confirmation. We only got a lower high.
Yep.
I mean, that was, but this is actually exactly what you were saying originally when I was pointing out I didn't like this entry because if it rejects this, we were going to come all the way down here.
Yep.
And I forgot that this happened, but that's exactly what happened. So, and that's why that entry wasn't very great.
Hmm.
Ultimately,
Yep.
we did not break the A structure.
Yep. And if you could just wait for that, and that's good structure, right? We already identified what good structure is. A nice defined area. Even this one, even though it's just two up there, it's still defined. Not like this or this, right? Not saying that they're bad because look at what happens here. We get a little pull back into it and then it goes.
Hmm. Yeah,
So don't discount those, but look at them like speed bumps.
and definitely is. And what's really cool about, if I'm just like, it's definitely a size down. Like if I want to take this, that's like a size one trade. Like this breaking this structure here because this would also be a size one trade and maybe it would be a loss.
Yep.
Uh, and then this breaking this is maybe a size two trade. All right, so you got the size two right there. And then if we manage to come up here and break this, that would be the size three.
Well, this could be size three too, honestly, because look at the structure right here.
Yeah. This could be
Right?
some, you could
Look at what happened. I mean, you didn't get big size, but you can play
right.
it up to where to right here.
Yeah, that's fair because this structure wouldn't call this a size three structure, but then when you get this nice leg and everything like that,
Yep.
that turns yeah.
Yeah, like this discounts these two right here,
That's true. That makes sense. Okay, I understand. Yeah.
right? Because then you got this defined, and then this defined. You would
Right.
discount these two.
This
But
is probably some sort of fucking ICT breaker blocks. I was listening to some dude talk about ICT on a stream, and I finally found something. I think ICT himself, that guy, I don't like the guy, but I found one of the SM whatever
yeah,
concepts.
yep,
This I think is an order block. I think this is a breaker block where you have a new low and a new high, then a higher low. I don't know.
yeah. I don't even understand order blocks. The breaker
Yeah,
block is a little bit over my head, but
yeah.
um, no, that's cool. But I like how you showed that example, just because that was a possibility, right? It wasn't just that was one of the scenarios that I called out.
Right.
I
That's
said
exactly what we did.
it can go up or down, right? Reject there, or it can break here and then go up. Those are the two scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go back in this video once you post it and restudy on those and kind of remember why. Oh, what the heck? Give me that annotate. And kind of remember why getting in around here, while it may work for a small trade, I need to ultimately. So I got in right around here, right?
Yep.
I don't know why my orders aren't showing, but I'm gonna keep this. This is the last photo in the sequence. So
Yeah.
got it around here, and while it may work, ultimately I really have to keep in mind that I should not be surprised at all when if it does that, because that is one of the scenarios.
Yep.
I'm not getting in here.
Nope.
If I was getting in here, okay, I can catch this whole wave and maybe break that.
Yep.
Well, realistically, this one still has the chance to reject around here.
Yep. That's exactly what I want you to read it like. Because that's your first scenario. Yeah, it's a lower high, but we never broke structure, right? Because we did break these, but we didn't break a defined one. So you'd be scammed like that, right? But once it's defined, then you can take this trade to a moving average or the structure, actual structure break. Then you don't see it breaking the structure. Like I told you, you don't see it breaking the 50% of that wick right here, or it doesn't even get into the wick. Then you're seeing weakness. Be like, okay, let me lock one in there. And the next one break even. Boom. That would have saved you from that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And even sometimes like this one, yeah, I'd say this is kind of like the scam. Like it breaks the high, like you have the lower, I mean you have the higher low, you have the
Yep.
higher low.
Yep.
It breaks that and that's like the scam.
Yep.
But that's fine. We take those.
And will this work out sometime from time to time? Of course. But don't lose your trust in it, right? Don't lose your trust in a play because it didn't work out. Identify what you can figure out what to look for to save your ass from getting stopped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're long here, then yeah, let it play out. Let it play out. Okay, cool. I'm seeing this work. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing our side weakness. I'm seeing whatever it is, right? Let me get out here and then break even. I have a green trade. Let me reevaluate. Okay, I could have seen this better.
Right. Ultimately, I think this RSI, oh, what's going on here? Make sure I was clear all. This RSI is kind of also signaling a bit of BS.
Yep.
It's busting the 50, coming back over and over again.
But not
Um,
only that, look at it's creating higher lows, but this is creating lower highs. Lower high, lower high, lower high.
oh yeah, yep. Clear bearish divergence.
Like right here, divergence. Right here, these three lower highs right here, divergence. This shit's going up. Why is it creating lower highs? You got to ask yourself, why is there three lower highs here and we're going up? Okay, if I get in here at this break of structure and this creates a lower high, I might think about getting out.
Yeah, and RSI is the average up move divided by the average down move, right?
And that I'm not 100% sure, but you can see it easily uh, because, especially when it's divergent, okay, there's lower highs, but we're going up. What's the deal? Right? Just like over here, creating higher lows as we go down.
Yeah. Take a I say it's calculated by dividing the average gain of an asset's price over a given period by its average loss.
So usually from 100 bars.
Then applying a formula to create a scale from 0 to 100. Okay, so yeah, so when we're experiencing divergence in the RSI, that means that even though price is making higher highs, it's doing it weaker every time.
Yep,
And then eventually, because the higher highs aren't following through, it's probably going to cave.
exactly.
Epic.
See, just like right here, right? We're coming down right here, and then we're gonna start creating higher lows.
Yep.
But,
What a nice 50 back test.
yep. And you
All
can
right.
play those too, right? You can play the scalps when it bounces off the 50, take it to the overhot, and you can catch a nice little play.
Yeah.
But that just dependent on the style of trading that you like. If you like it slower, jump on MES, ES, after hours. Avoid opening, avoid closing. Sometimes you like it slow. For me, I would practice and practice and practice after hours for so long. It was fucking boring, but I just kept doing it, doing it, doing it. And then I started seeing the patterns at the open. At the open, I was like, oh, cool. I'm getting better at the open. Just because you can't trade a specific time frame, don't get scared. Or because you can't trade data day or FOMC day, whatever whatever you like to trade,
Right.
just trade that style. You want to get consistent and you want to trade the same way every day. Boring equals consistency. Learn your system and get that feedback loop and then make corrections, make adjustments, make corrections. Because you're always going to be adjusting your strategy, even if you start now. We started the elites 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Hmm.
Now it's morphed into a totally different strategy. But guess what? The fundamentals that we learned in the beginning when Brandon was teaching us, they still work. I went to trend lines, I went to fibs, I went to moving averages. They all still work. You just have to adapt it to your style and to the market.
Yeah.
You always have to make adjustments, and you cannot make adjustments if you don't have screenshots and you're not evaluating your or reviewing your charts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things my biggest offense is I'm evaluating and then I come across a day where I just get pissed and I take some trades that like are not good. Just objectively like while taking them I know they're not good. I'm just mad. And then it's like I don't even want to look at the recap at the end of the day. I just don't even want to look at it.
And
But
it's tough because you're like, fuck, I blew up an account or I took a fat red. How am I? Okay, I need to clear my head, do meditation, go work out, go for a walk, go
mm,
walk your dog, do whatever so you can clear your head, come back, review the chart, and figure out what you fucked up on.
yep.
Okay, I shouldn't have taken this because the RSI was doing this. Oh, I shouldn't have taken this because there was no structure break on the 5 minute, but there was on the 1 minute. And that happened to me a lot. I would get scammed out. I was like, man, Brandon's always talking about structure break. He gets in on the structure break, and I was like, okay, so let me look for the structure break. I get in a structure break. Oh, okay, I got scammed. Okay, what the heck? I gotta look for something. Okay, it's not breaking on the 5 minute, but it is on the 1 minute, and I'm getting scammed. Okay, let me wait for the 5 minute to break and the 1 minute. Okay, cool. Both of them are broken. Now I'm looking for my lower high. Now I can get in. Okay, perfect. I took that trade. Everything looked right, and it still didn't work out. Okay, what didn't I see? Okay, the RSI was diverging, or there was data. Um, so you need to identify all that environment so you can avoid it the next time you're in that same environment.
Hmm.
Right? In the Marine Corps, we go get trained in the desert before we go to Iraq. We don't get sent straight to Iraq. We'd freaking die. We dehydrate and freaking
Right.
get the silver bullet for those that get it. Uh, uh, you got to train for that environment. Every time you go into that same environment, you're gonna adapt. You're gonna adapt to it. The next president might not be as volatile. The next president might be a bull market. The next president might be a bear market, whatever the case is.
Right.
And if you don't know how to trade those rough days, jump on Sim. You hit your daily target, you feel like trading, jump on Sim. Don't get greedy and try to get more money. Jump on Sim
Right.
and follow your rules. Just because you're on Sim doesn't mean you go fucking balls to the wall. Let me load up the boat. and just take a trade just so I can prove to myself that it's gonna work. And then
Yeah, that's just dopamine chasing.
you're gonna get over leveraged, and then it's gonna blow up your little sim account or whatever. It's like, man.
Right, it'll blow up the little sim account, right? And then it'll be like, ah, that doesn't matter, it was just sim.
Yeah, and then what you do, you created a bad habit.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I at least don't do that. I like to it's so easy to what's the quote? Do something if you do something right, people won't be sure you did anything at all. Right? And that's a quote from Futurama. But then I really like it because if you do something wrong, it's all people will see. So it's kind of like I think as much as it's good to point out the bad habits, it's also good to remember and notice the good habits that you do every day that you don't even think about.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you need that feedback loop to identify those bad habits that you're going back to. You need a journal and be like, oh man, I over leveraged, I got emotional, I got mad, I wasn't clear headed, whatever it was. You need to identify that. Be like, okay, I'm not clear headed, I'm not trading.
Right.
Whatever it takes. Because if you go against those rules, you're gonna go fall back right back into that cycle and be like, man, I got one payout, but I blew up 10 accounts. I get two payouts, but I blew up 20 accounts. I get three payouts, but I blew 10 accounts again. What the fuck am I doing wrong? Why can't I just get payout after payout after payout after payout? That's because you're still in that emotional cycle.
Right. In the fucking washing machine.
Exactly. Just practice, practice, practice screen time. Um, Follow price action structure. That's another big tip that helped me get more consistent. All these little nuggets that we're learning from whatever YouTube trader you're paying attention to, add it to your tool belt. Don't change your tool belt. You're not gonna be a general contractor and then go be a dentist
Right.
or a doctor.
Right.
You
Right.
want you want to be build skyscrapers, so you want to add to your contractor's tool belt. You don't want to freaking just I don't know learn something totally different new, and then you're just gonna get more confused than you already are. But cool. Thanks for the recaps. I'm going to end it there for this week, and then we'll see you guys next week.